Hello, I am going live today. Been working through some technical issues, so hopefully this works well. I am going to show you two different things today. One of the things I use the most and get a lot of questions about is the DIY paper flower making tool that I use. It is essentially a piece of cardboard. It needs to be corrugated cardboard where it has the channels in it and a piece of floral wire and some glue. So I'm going to show you how I make that and also how I wire my flowers. I do it differently, whether I want it to be flexible for attaching to a wall or a paper flower crown, or if I want it to be a stiff wire to put a flower into a bouquet. So I'm going to show you those two different ways that I wire a flower. But first, I'm going to show you how I make this DIY paper flower tool. So you just need some cardboard from packaging. And I always cut mine into 3-inch squares. There's nothing magic about that. That just is a size that works well for me. So I like to use a cutting mat and a rotary tool. And let's see, I will grab, I don't have my ruler with me here. Let me grab this really long one and just line it up and slice through. And I usually make a few of these at a time. Actually, I usually make 6. And the reason that I make 6 is because the length of wire that I use, I think this is 18-inch long 20 gauge floral wire from Hobby Lobby, and it's plain. It's not coated in any paper. And we want that because you don't want the glue to stick to it. And if it was a paper wrapped or cloth wrapped, it would just get messy a lot faster. So I usually cut out 6 of these. And the way that I measure the amount of wire to use is I lay the piece of wire across it, and that is how long I cut the wire. So I don't have to measure. I just lay it across and snip it. And then the next step is I want to poke a hole in the center of this. So I grab a sacrificial box that I poke holes into so that I don't damage something or poke a hole in my leg, and just poke a hole right in the middle of it. And then I take that 3-inch piece of wire that I cut and I hold it down and I put one end of it at that hole in the center. And then I grab some pliers and bend it up to make a 90-degree angle. So you just want it to make that L shape. And then I will put some glue, and it's easier if you have, a fine tip on your glue, but you don't have to. And the thing is, you're going to insert this wire so that it comes out of where the channels are. So you need to look to see which side of the cardboard has channels. See, you wouldn't go to that side. So I'll go that direction. And you actually just squirt some glue into that, and that's going to hold it in place. And then I will insert the wire, and then I can actually see the end of it there. And I would squirt glue there. It doesn't normally stick out. Must not have perfectly centered it this time. And so you just let it dry in place like that. And then another thing, and that is all there is to it after it has dried. And I have started adding wax paper to the bottom of them because it just keeps it cleaner and neater for a longer period of time. So I just use some wax paper and cut it into little squares. Just needs to be right underneath where the flower is made. And then let me use this one. Just poke the wire through there. And then I use it. And if you try to clean the glue off of them each time you use them, they'll last a lot longer. But eventually you'll get a lot of glue buildup down there. And I just make another one. You don't notice it as much with larger flowers, but if you do a lot of tiny flowers, you really have to try to keep that clean. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I assemble the flowers on there. And certain flowers, you don't need it. But to make my ball peony, I find it really helpful. And let me tell you about what I would do now, depending on if I want it to be a flexible wire on it. Then I would glue the wire, which I always use the Oasis bind wire. Let me cut a little piece of this off. And I just bend over somewhere around 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. Depends on how big my flower is. And I put that little short bit of wire up through the bottom of the hole. And then I'll put a little bit of glue right there and fold it down on that. And then I go ahead and start building the flower on top, and it will be secured in place, and you don't have to worry about that wire coming out. But if I want to wire this on a stiff wire for a flower in a bouquet, what I do is I glue the wire to the back of the rolled up center, assemble the whole flower, and then I put that through and add glue to the bottom and glue it in place down there. So it just depends. You need to know beforehand what kind of wire you want it on. So to assemble this peony, we just add layers of glue between each layer of petals. Let me get out. I do like to use little craft sticks to apply pressure to the glue. Through the middle of, I see somebody's at, the wire goes through the middle and not through the cardboard. The wire is in the cardboard. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. If you ask, if it's not clear yet, just ask again and I'll try to answer your question. So I add some more glue and put another layer of petals, offsetting so that this petal goes between the two petals underneath. And apply pressure. This is, I think, a 6-inch peony that I'm making here. And another layer. And press down. And now as we're getting closer to the top of the flower, we want to make sure that when I add glue, can you tell me what type of glue you're using? Yes, I am using Art Glitter Glue Dries Clear with the fine metal tip. It is my favorite glue for making paper flowers. And the metal tip is really nice. The glue dries really quickly, so I don't have to wait long with it. And the only tricky thing about it is you can't order it in freezing temperatures. So it's getting close to the time that if you're going to order some, you would want to order it now. On these top 2 layers, you want the glue to be very close to the hole in the middle, because if the glue is farther out, when it dries, it's going to pull down that nice rounded shape that we made. So on these top 2 layers, where we want it to really take a ball shape, you need to keep the glue very close to the hole. And then this is my last layer. And I would find it hard to center each of these layers without using a tool like this to build it on, because able to know that everything is going to be perfectly centered as long as I build it on top of that wire that's in the middle. And then I would let this dry for a minute. But I mean, it's already, all the layers are staying together very nicely. I could go ahead and glue the center in place. I would just pick it up. Yes, I do. I have an SVG that makes this peony, and I do sell it in my shop. So then you would just add glue to the bottom of this and press it in place. And we have a finished flower, and it has this flexible wire, which is the Oasis bind wire. That's what I use if it's something for a wall or a flower crown, something like that. Otherwise, you attach the wire on the bottom of the center strip before assembling it all. So I think, unless you have any more questions, that's what I was going to do today. And hopefully I'll be able to get this going at 9 a.m. New technology, and definitely had some issues come up. But thank you, Valerie. I love this flower. I really do. It's a really pretty one to make. But thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I am going to put, I forgot to tell you, I'll put it in the description, but I am going to put a discount code on my shop. I don't have it on there yet. I will do it as soon as I end this feed, but I'm going to have a back to school special of 20% off of my entire shop. And the code is going to be BACK20. So I will go get that taken care of, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.